Hi, I'm Tim Roble. We're out here in Johnson Valley, California, Cougar Buttes, and I thought I would do another video on my 2017 KTM 450 XCF and give you a little background about why I got this bike. I wanted to buy something more for endurocross as a four-stroke. I wanted to develop products and parts for it, and you know, as we know, the KTM lineup is vast. But I chose this bike because it was kind of like a pure race bike to replace my two-stroke. It actually comes in about 4 or 5 pounds lighter than my 2013 KTM 300 XCW. Primarily, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this bike to run cool enough to replace my two-stroke in extreme terrain. So one of the first things that I did with it was I put on the Trail Tech, which is now the KTM Factory Cooling Fan, and it comes with that cool little temperature gauge already on it. And then what I did is I made a custom loom for it that goes up, and I can actually turn the power on and off. So if you actually stop, you can turn it off so the fan does not run and run down your battery, because that's important, because there is no Kickstarter on this bike or no provisions to put one on it. So one of the things that happened to me is we were out doing an extreme enduro session, and I ran out of battery. I had a little crash in a canyon, came up, fan was running because I was working my way up and out, and basically it left me stranded. I couldn't bump start it because I have the Rekluse in there, and while we're down low, I'll talk about the Rekluse. I got the Core 3.0, and then I built this custom skid plate for it that actually comes all the way back and protects the rear linkage about midway up. And you can see I've taken a little bit of rock damage on it and still holding up really well. Running the Fastway lower link guard, Enduro Engineering shark fins front and rear, and I am going to have my own version of that out to kind of match the theme of the hex pattern in the skid plate. So those are on for now, and I'll be putting my CNC to work getting that happening. Another thing I did is I changed out the front plastics to black and had Decal Works do me a set of graphics. Still waiting on the number plate graphic. They sent me the wrong one. And I'm waiting on my lower fork guards. Those will be replaced in black. If you can see, I'm running the tubeless inserts and the golden tire. The GT216AA big 9100 front tire, known as like the steamroller, some people are calling it. I love that tire. I already knew that was going to be my go-to tire, so I got that set up there. Here's another shot of the skid plate on this side, and then back. Running the Super Sprocket. I do that right off the bat, knowing that the aluminum just doesn't hold up. Especially right now I'm running a 12/48 gearing, and the aluminum is just not a way to go. Saw the last video, I'm running the Kinda Equilibrium in the rear with tubeless. I run it about 4.5 PSI. Up front with the Golden, I am running that right now to break it in at 2 PSI. And it still feels a little stiff, so I may drop down to 0, get it broken in carcass-wise, and then go from there. But I really love this motorcycle. This thing right off the showroom floor fit me really well. My riding style, I prefer 4-stroke over a 2. I prefer not to have to mix gas, so I can have fresh gas every trip and not have to figure out what I'm going to do with the extra gallon or 2 of 2-stroke gas. I did fit the BRP front Scott steering stabilizer, their mounts, with the isolated poly bushings, and then his handguard tying into the Circa Pro Bins. I am running my bar buttons. These get drilled and tapped to the inside of the bar, and then a grade 10 stainless fastener goes in and ties it all in. It keeps you from shearing off a handguard. I don't know if you've had that happen before, but you put on a $125 pair of handguards, you go out, you drop in the rock once, and you shear it off on a good hit. And then you got a floppy $125 handguard that you either throw in the bush or try to figure out how to get it back to camp. So that's why I developed these bar buttons to make that work. Up top, we have the Rekluse left-hand rear brake, a hydraulic brake, comes down, ties in over here to the other side, right down here, so you can use the brake pedal or the left hand to activate the rear brake. Why I do that primarily is not so much for the downhill sections, although I do use it on the downhills at times. But if you're riding a real gnarly section, say you're working your way up this and heading up trying to find a spot and you stall or you need to take a break, with the Rekluse, you don't have a way to keep the bike in place. So you have to use a brake. If you have 2 feet down, then you only have a front brake. If it's that steep, you're going to fall down. I did the KTM Power Parts grab handle. I had Decal Works make me some nice graphics, and some people are gonna, I know, are gonna ask, what's the deal with the little smiley face? One, I'm happy all the time. Two, that reminds me of my dad, and my dad is my support for this project. He wanted to see me make parts on my new Tormach CNC machine, and this just is something that he adopted years ago. He puts a little smiley face on his car window, and I thought, well, I'll integrate that into my graphics. So my graphics from now on are going to have the little smiley face on them. Getting back to the seat and my battery issue, I made little pip pins for the seat to replace the bolts, and why I did that is so tool free I can pull the seat and get to the battery. The stock battery let me down. I did a real gnarly section, how to get off and how to work my way out of a canyon, and with doing that, got out, the fan was running, things running anywhere between about 170 to 190 degrees, which is totally good with the fan on. But if you don't turn the fan off when you stop to mend yourself up, it's going to run your battery down, and with no Kickstarter and a Rekluse, no bump starting, and you're stuck. So what I've done to kind of remedy this is I've done the pip pins, so 2 pins, the seat's off, access to the battery. With access to the battery, I carry a little jumper box to see if that works. I replaced the stock battery, which is a 5 something, with the 7. It's the same size physically, but it has more storage capacity and more cold cranking amps. So now the bike even starts up a little bit better. Not that it was a hard starter, but it starts up a little better and works really well. So happy with that. I put a WPS, a Western Power Sports battery in it. Anyway, in the description, I'm going to include some links for stuff like the Rekluse. I will be making this skid plate. I'm not offering it right now, but it'll be available to buy on my trc.bike. And then if you want to know more about the blogs and also links to stuff that I have on the bike, my blog is trc.world. See, I think I've just about covered everything that I can think about on the bike. Maybe traction control and the maps. So up on the handlebars on the 2017, we now have where we can change the maps. 1 is supposed to be a more aggressive map, and 2 is supposed to be a softer hit. I got to be honest, I don't notice the difference. There's a traction control mode, which I have a Rekluse, so I don't know if that negates it or not, but I don't run traction control, I don't run launch control, and I only stay in map 1 because 2, on a couple of different occasions, testing that out, I've had a flame out. For the most part, this bike doesn't flame out. I'm really super happy with that. Easy bike to ride, puts down good controllable power, which is not what I was super expecting for such a hybrid 62 horsepower race bike. But for me, it's easy to ride. I have a tugger front strap on it for extreme enduro stuff, you know, someone to hook up or help pull you up something. I am doing a trials event this weekend. If you look real close, steering stops have been removed so I can get a harder angle on that and no interference. So that's going to be it for my walk around. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and links in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.